This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
What's happening, everybody out there in the XRP community? Thanks for coming back to Investment Perspectives. I'm Bradley Kimes. I wanted to make a pre-recorded video because it's a lot of action, a lot of things coming out of Davos. I was watching a conference earlier today. The gentleman Benoit Courier, forgive me if I said his last name wrong, from BIS, extremely bullish in putting cross-border payments at the front of the agenda on their task to solve that problem for the BIS and going forward for the entire system. And that narrative was pretty heavy throughout Davos so far. Tomorrow we have Christine Lagarde speaking. We also have the new Georgievina, managing director of the IMF, speaking, as well as some other people. That should be pretty interesting. Today, I see a post about 20 minutes ago that my friend Mr. B XRP shared, and then it was originally from Ashish Burla, and this is what the post says. Take a look at it. Mr. B XRP posted here, and I'm going to read what Ashish put first, and shout out to Mr. B XRP for sharing this, and Ashish as well. In the next 12 months, you'll see IPOs in crypto blockchain space. We're not going to be the first, and we're not going to be the last. But I expect us to be on the leading side. It's a natural evolution for our company at Brad Garlinghouse at the World Economic Forum 2020. Now, that is pretty incredible, because I don't see, as just as Mr. B here says, I don't know any other way to see this other than Ripple is planning to go public. I imagine if any of the escrow is pre-allocated and not owned by the company, that will have to be disclosed. Ripple and XRP may finally be getting the attention it deserves. Stay tuned. And he's absolutely right here. The implications are enormous, and I think there's nothing but a ton of upside, right? Nothing but a ton of upside. And honestly, I think this is the natural progress and natural order for Ripple, that they IPO potentially, right? And if they do, and it sounds like they're going to at some point, it will force a situation for them to do an initial public offering to what's going to happen with the remaining XRP that's in escrow. Will they continue to hold it? Will it be a situation where they have to report how much of that escrow is actually in their control, or is it pre-allocated to other people, as Mr. B suggested? Or will we see, because it has a $10 billion valuation as a software company right now today, that by the time it IPOs, it may be double that. Who knows? But could we also see the decision come in from the government? Because if the government were to adopt the protocol, the ledger, the XRP ledger, the protocol, the rails that are going to be used for this payment system to solve this cross-border payments problem from a private company, could we see that that protocol is adopted and there needs to be an official decoupling from Ripple and the XRP ledger and the escrow in its entirety? And the only way to do that is to have them IPO and then to have the escrow remain in its auto lock account, but it may possibly have a different entities governing that escrow, which is in a cryptographically time release auto lock. I don't argue that. I get it. But that doesn't mean that someone else may not be the steward of that account, or maybe it's several entities. Maybe it's a governance network that will be appointed if they adopt the ledger protocol for this payment system and the new fabric of the Internet of Value. I'll tell you one thing, this is really getting good. We're 23 days into 2020, and it's already turning out to be a hell of a year. I've talked about on the show quite often that, regulatory clarity, I don't feel is just classification. I don't feel like it's just about legislative issues for the digital asset space in the way of here's the rules of what you can do, here's what defines crypto, here's what defines a commodity. I think all of those things are necessary. I think we will get all of those things too. But I think just like we have the internet that is the legitimate internet that we're using now to communicate on, there's also the dark web, which you don't want to really be on, right? So there is the legitimate market and then there's the black market, so to speak. So I think, the same thing here exists with the Internet of Value or the new financial plumbing system that's digitized and modernized, right? In order to adapt this protocol, I think it's got to be adopted by the governments and the regulatory agencies and the proper departments globally. And I don't think it'll be a problem to have that happen because there's the FATF, which is the international committee that oversees the global regulation of cryptocurrencies, which is the regulatory body from the G20, which is the largest countries with the largest economies on the planet. So I think at the end of the day, there is something afoot here, and I don't see it as anything but an exciting upside. But this, I really do believe, is just bigger than watching a company on the course and on the path to IPO. I think we're witnessing one of the greatest events in the history of mankind. I think it's the greatest financial paradigm shift in the history of mankind. And XRP, Ripple the software company, has been completely at the helm of getting it there. I am sitting here right now and I'm hearing Bob Way, when we talked on this show, about how the time when he was at Ripple and his tenure there, the thought inside the war room when they were all working on XRP and the ledger and Ripple, the software company, and the idea in the war room when they're putting all this together is that over time Ripple would have less and less and less to do with XRP. This seems like that is the course that we're on, and it is for the betterment and the health of Ripple, the software company, and XRP's success long term to be used as a digital asset throughout the world. This is getting exciting, guys. I hope you'll be able to join me on tonight's show at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be something. Let's talk about this together. It's some of the brightest minds in the community that come into these live streams. So I know a lot of you have busy lives, and I know that you don't have time for an hour stream. But I would encourage you to know this, that when you come into the streams on this channel, you will see some of the brightest minds with the greatest perspective and insight in this space. This is an amazing time. I hope that you guys will come in and join us and carry this conversation forward because it is really, really heating up and getting exciting. All right, guys, hit the like and subscribe. Leave some comments below, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.